We are on Mount Sicker, and this is the 9/11 showing. We have mineralization in a 2.5 kilometer stretch in various showings. This is by far the largest showing. Up there, about 100 meters, 120 meters, is the stop point of this zone. Everything runs this way down here. We've sampled down in this old road, dug out to the bedrock in 5 different spots. We found mineralization, disseminated pyrite, chalcopyrite, and stringers of pyrite and chalcopyrite running all through there. This is a schistose rock. You have chert and quartz. So I'm going to walk through this whole zone. We're going to start way down at the road over there, and we'll walk and take a look at everything. But first, let's take some samples that I've pulled off the bedrock in this area here, and we will take a look at some of the samples. You can see chalcopyrite with pyrite, and it's found disseminated to massive. You can see the quartz there. It took me about 5 minutes to collect these samples out of bedrock. You can see this is massive here. Mix of chalcopyrite and pyrite. As you can see, well mineralized. Some of these are a little dirty because it's a little muddy out and raining. So all these samples were pulled from this area here to there in this 20-meter stretch. So we're going to take a look at the entire zone, and we'll end up there. So let's walk down to the end of the road and take a look at some of those samples. So we're at the beginning of the road now. You can't even see where my truck is parked. We're so far away. So this is the new road here. This is the original one that's been widened. And right now we're on strike of this mineralization, and your rock goes roughly like that, crossing the road. And we have mineralization exposed in here. You got all these loose sulfides here, that's all pyrite in there. And then up over here, you have another area with disseminated to semi-massive and massive pyrite. I have taken a sample from here in the past, and it did show some copper values. So if you take a look at this, on strike of this going the opposite way, there is another new road that is built, and we have 2 other showings along that on strike of this. And then there's also another 3 previously located showings even farther. So this is following a trend of 2.5 kilometers from start to where it ends right here. And we do have the Fortuna adit, which is another kilometer farther. And again, it's the same kind of mineralization. So a very long zone. Not sure of the width, but from the edge of where it's mineralized down here to the edge up there, it is about 75 meters. But then there's a road below this which also has the same mineralization in a 30-meter stretch. So we're gonna walk down this main road now and take a look at some of the samples along strike. So you can see these samples here mineralized right off the bank right there. More here, pyrite and chalcopyrite. More here. And I would say mineralization is less in this area for sure, and it's more massive as you get closer to my truck. But there is still mineralization disseminated and little stringer veins, as you can see in the bedrock. You can see quartz, sulfides. You can see the mineralization coming out of here. All these rocks coming out of here are mineralized. See the disseminated pyrite and chalcopyrite. So here's another piece of bedrock. Here's another piece. So let's just keep walking this. You do have some other rocks here which aren't mineralized, just little dikes cutting through. You can see how cooked this is. Mineralization there. And what this looks like to me is you have almost a halo around all of the really mineralized rock, which has disseminated pyrite and minor chalcopyrite. And then you also have stringers cutting through this entire zone here below the road. And actually above here, you can see the flagging tape right there. In line with this area here, there's actually a shaft that goes down about 4 meters. That's called Tom's shaft. And obviously at the bottom, they hit massive pyrite with minor chalcopyrite, which would take you about to this level right here, 4 meters below surface. So we've measured that, and it's flooded now, but I have a previous video on that somewhere. And again, you have disseminated pyrite all throughout this area here. Here's a good example of the disseminated pyrite, and you have these little stringers following all the fractures in the rock. You can see disseminations, pyrite and chalcopyrite, and that's all in the rock surrounding the main area over there. Another little stringer there. You can see disseminated pyrite, chalcopyrite there, and then you can see here it gets a little more massive and you have more chalcopyrite in here, and this is sort of where it transitions to a little bit more chalcopyrite. And it gets more and more disseminated, and you get more and more mineralization. This is just pulled out of a little vein, and you can see the veins get wider and wider as you go farther and farther in the zone. And you can see higher concentration of mineralization in the rock. So these are all from little veins in the fractures of the rock. You can see massive pyrite, minor chalcopyrite. Look at all these chunks. Just massive sulfides for you. And as we slowly move closer and closer to the center, you can see there's more quartz here and more mineralization, more chalcopyrite. And you can also see down here you got chert, and you can see chert and quartz with pyrite. More here, more mineralization here. See the pyrite running through here, pyrite, pyrite. Look at this, just loose sulfides. This is a chunk of massive pyrite. And then you have more and more and more all over the place. Sulfides everywhere. And you can see as you get into the rock that looks a little bit more gray, your pyrite is a little bit less and your chalcopyrite is more. And it's more heavily disseminated. And this is where it turns to a lot more mineralization. You can see lots of chalcopyrite in there. You just hammer areas and it looks just like rock, but you hammer it open and it's massive sulfides. Look at this. This is all chalcopyrite, all in here, all over, running all the way down here to down here. You can see all the rock here now on the road, pulled out of this area. Loads of mineralization. Look, a little bit of malachite. See? All this still Got lots of chalcopyrite. All this is mineralized. Mineralization, quartz, mineralization, quartz cutting through there. See, all these fractures here have veins of quartz and sulfides cutting through. And as you can see, still mineralized. You can see some of the pieces pulled out of the quartz veins. All this pretty much comes from this area. We've talked to the loggers, and everything on the road was basically pulled out from the bank and built up on the road. So what you see in the road is from the same stretch of area. Again, everything is mineralized. You can see this here, chalcopyrite and pyrite, and you got a bit of sphalerite in there. As we keep going along this mineralized area, this is all the exact same. See all the mineralization, pyrite, chalcopyrite all along here. Everything is mineralized. So we'll take a look at it this way now. We're going to keep going farther and farther into the zone. You can see the massive sulfides there. And now we are getting closer and closer to the area where all those massive sulfide pieces are. You can see massive sulfides. All the ones we showed at the beginning of the video come from this area here. Loaded. These are all very mineralized areas. You can see all the chalcopyrite. And these all come from this area here. You can see massive sulfides. And I call this the center of the zone because there's the most mineralization. And let us move on a little farther. You can see still heavily mineralized. You still have massive sulfides. And as you go over here, you still have your chalcopyrite and pyrite disseminated in stringer form. Keep going. You can see still mineralized. All this here, see, this is massive sulfides, still mineralized. And this is about a 30-35 meter wide area where you find the most mineralization. And then you transition to sphalerite, chalcopyrite and pyrite. You have your zonation. So there's more sphalerite as you move on here. All this black is sphalerite. All in here. But you still have chalcopyrite too. And as you get here, you get far more sphalerite. You can see all the black. It's all sphalerite. 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 All this is sphalerite in here. Take a look. Sphalerite. Sphalerite. And that continues all the way up here. More sphalerite, sphalerite. You can see the floor is bedrock, sphalerite, pyrite, chalcopyrite. And as you get to just past this area here, it goes back out to disseminated pyrite, right where you see the color in the rock change. Disseminated pyrite, chalcopyrite, and then around the corner there, your disseminated zone stops. Right where it juts out, the corner there. Down here, about 100 meters, there's a couple small little adits struck on the same mineralization, and same with down on the road there. We chipped 5 samples, and it's all schist, chert, and chalcopyrite, pyrite. So, as you can see, this is 300 meters plus for a strike, and mineralization from the corner there to the corner where it's exposed is 75 meters. But here's the kicker. There is a road that was just built 200 meters below this, and we have the same mineralization that's peeking out as the center zone and around here with the pyrite, chalcopyrite, and then you have disseminated pyrite and chalcopyrite. So this could have more of width to it. Still can't determine that. Could have a considerable strike to this as well. Anyway, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Cheers.